The Chase Sapphire Reserve has officially become a metal coupon book, nearly a $250 increase in the annual fee, moving from a low-maintenance travel card with a few credits and benefits and stable earning on all things travel to a prima donna travel and lifestyle credit-having card that will require a spreadsheet in order to keep track of what's what. But this isn't all bad. The Sapphire Reserve was in desperate need of a refresh, and Chase delivered, now with potentially $2,700 in value. Now, I'm seriously considering this card, even though I'm a little underwhelmed by the new welcome offer, which is for 100,000 Chase Ultimate Rewards points after spending 5,000 within 3 months, plus up to a $500 one-time travel credit, which I'll break down a bit more shortly. So if you're in a similar boat as me, and you're either debating keeping this card or applying for it in the coming months, you're in the right place. And stick around until the end. I'm gonna compare this one to the most popular premium travel credit card on the market today. So let's get to it. Now, I held the Sapphire Reserve years ago, and I currently have the Chase Sapphire Preferred and the Ink Preferred. So I've been debating downgrading the Sapphire Preferred since I really get no value from it. I have cards that earn better on dining and groceries and streaming, and I have the Ink Preferred that unlocks Chase's transfer partners and earns 3x on all things travel, from airlines, hotels, timeshares, car rentals, cruise lines, travel agencies, discount travel sites, trains, buses, taxis, limos, ferries, toll bridges, highways, parking lots, and garages. And this was a big perk that was lost on the Sapphire Reserve. And that's part of the reason I had no interest in getting the Sapphire Reserve again. That 3x all things travel plus the 3x dining were pretty irrelevant to me. But the writing is on the wall, and I think we may see both the Sapphire Preferred and the Ink Preferred undergo a refresh as well, probably with some modifications to that travel earning category, and unfortunately, increases to the annual fees. And we've already seen some updates and devaluation with the standard points redemption rates in the Chase Travel Portal, similar to the modifications with the Sapphire Reserve that we've seen, basically dropping the floor down to 1 cent per point. But at the same time, claiming we may get up to 1.75x in value for the Ink Preferred and the Sapphire Preferred, and up to 2 cents per point with the Sapphire Reserve. But this is only for Edit Collection hotel properties and premium cabin airfare. And for anyone that utilizes Chase's transfer partners, you can often find better than 2 cents per point when redeeming for premium cabin airfare. More to come on this, but this is definitely a devaluation in my opinion. With the Sapphire Reserve's new look, a much higher annual fee, and a pile of lifestyle and travel credits, Chase is somewhat resetting the market. Now, personally, I feel like the majority of the premium tier travel cards will follow suit, and we'll see some additional increases to annual fees. Now, this includes the American Express Platinum, which rumors are that this one will raise up to an annual fee of $895. Other cards include the Capital One Venture X, even the City Advantage Executive, and the American Express Marriott Bonvoy Brilliant may see some changes in the next year or so. But hopefully Chase doesn't touch my Ritz-Carlton card unless they decide to elevate the status granted and maybe get with the times and update that free night award to 100,000 points or make it uncapped. Comment down below, let me know what you think will happen next. For any current Chase Sapphire Reserve card holders and anyone that applied or product changed prior to June 23rd, the Sapphire Reserve had an annual fee of $550 and was about as simple as it gets for a premium card. One main travel credit, $300 for all things travel, just spend on the card for anything travel related, and that first $300 is covered. On top of that, there was a TSA pre-check or global entry credit, Dash Pass, and up to $25 in credits each month from DoorDash. And of course, airport lounge access to over 1,300 Priority Pass lounges and the coveted Chase Sapphire lounges. Plus, you can take 2 guests in complimentary. And this is a huge benefit if you use it, since the AMEX Platinum does not offer this, and the Capital One Venture X is doing away with the free guest benefit starting in February of 2026. So it was a pretty simple powerhouse card, but a bit underwhelming in my opinion, and it earned 3x on all things travel and dining. But depending on how much you spent, the 3x travel multiplier often didn't math out when you compared it to the 2x that you could earn on the Sapphire Preferred, and definitely not when compared to the Ink Preferred that earned the same 3x on all things travel. Now, we saw Chase refresh the United Airlines cards, so many of us anticipated that a major refresh was coming, and we got our wish. So grab a cold one, because this card is about to require a lot more thought and effort. Now, there's a few specific important dates of note. So first, for current Sapphire Reserve card holders, Anyone that applied or product changed before June 23rd, everything will remain as is until October 26th. So until that time, you'll earn points and get the card benefits just like you did before all these changes with the new card. So basically no changes for a few months. Now on October 26th, everyone will have all the new card benefits and lose the previous benefits like the 3x all things travel multiplier. You'll also be able to use the new card coupons. And if your card anniversary date is before October 27th of 2025, you can actually use the new benefits and new coupons and maintain that $550 annual fee until the 2026 anniversary date. With all the things to talk about here, it almost seems like Chase made all of these changes with us YouTube creators in mind. Definitely makes for longer videos. So with all that out of the way, the Sapphire Reserve will now have an annual fee of $795. And this is for any new applications or any product changes. Now this new annual fee is $100 more than the current American Express Platinum, which I do believe will be pretty short-lived since American Express has already tried to grab the mic, told Chase to hold its beer, and said that it would raise its annual fee on the Platinum as well. Also, Chase has raised the authorized user fee up from $75 per authorized user to $195. Now, personally, I don't mind the increase in the annual fee if the value is there. And if you look at this $800 annual fee and you don't see value, don't get the card. If you don't travel or you only travel 1 to 2 times a year, do yourself a favor and do not get this card or any premium tier travel card for that matter. Other than maybe the Venture X, it's definitely not worth the hassle. So here's the changes to the earning potential. And remember, the Sapphire Reserve did earn a super simple 3x. All things travel, 3x on dining, and some elevated earning in the travel portal, which that's pretty standard for any premium travel card. So the earning is moving up 3 points from 5x on flights to 8x and moving down from 10x to 8x on hotels and car rentals. Again, this is all for travel booked in the Chase travel portal. Again, these aren't really that impactful. It shouldn't really sway your opinion on this card for any travel related earning potential, but the earning outside of the portal may in fact do so. And this card is moving from 3x to 4x on flights and hotels booked direct, no portal needed. And this is a pretty legit increase in earning if you're a heavy spender on those two categories. And it will also retain the 3x on worldwide dining, but the impact of losing that elevated 3x on all things travel earning, think cruises, train tickets, rideshare, parking, Airbnbs, things like that, well, those will now only earn 1x on the general travel category. Now, this is a huge loss, especially for people that typically use points to redeem for flights and for hotels, but paid cash for those other travel purchases. So now for the good and the bad with the introduction of these American Express Platinum style credits and benefits. And after I go through this list, I'll compare these to the Platinum's credits and overall value, so make sure you stick with me. Now the welcome offer that was just released does tie into the credits and actually complicates it a bit more since it's 100,000 Chase Ultimate Rewards points, decent, not great, and not what I was hoping for. I was thinking they would make a splash and go somewhere around 150,000 Ultimate Rewards points, but the new offer does include up to a $500 travel credit, and that travel credit is only good for travel booked within the Chase travel portal, and it's only applied one time. So if you only spend $200 and apply the credit, you're essentially losing $300 worth of value. Now there's pros and cons with this bonus offer. The pros, in my opinion, Chase has done away with the one Sapphire card language, meaning you can potentially hold both the Sapphire Preferred and the Sapphire Reserve. Now, historically, you could only have one of these two, and you were only eligible for the welcome offer on one or the other every 48 months. I think we need a few more data points to make sure you're eligible for the welcome offer for the Reserve if you currently hold the Sapphire Preferred, or if you received a welcome offer for the Preferred within the last 48 months. Now, I fall within that category, so I may actually go through the application process soon and report back. Also, make sure you check Reddit. People are constantly sharing their experiences in real time. A few more pros, if you want to call it that. So another pro here is that the spend requirement is only $5,000 in spend within 3 months. So the spend requirement is a good bit lower than you typically find with the AMEX Platinum, which usually has $8K in spend required, but a longer period of time at 6 months. So pros and cons here to both. Also, the travel credit, which is good for 1 year once it's applied to your account after hitting the minimum spend requirement, does not require you to spend a certain amount on airfare like we've seen with some of the AMEX Platinum offers, like on the Business Platinum where you need to spend $2,500 to receive $500 back. And those 100,000 points are just that, 100,000 points, whereas Amex now has welcome offer language stating as high as 175,000 points. So you definitely don't know your specific offer until you walk through the application process. Now for the cons, it's only 100,000 points. Nowhere near the potential 175,000 you can find with the AMEX Platinum. And that travel credit, which could add $500 in value to the welcome offer, basically forces you to spend $500 or more in the portal to get max value from it. Plus, it's another credit to add to the list. So let's look at those other credits and benefits you need to consider. First up is the $300 annual travel credit. Now, many were fearful that this would dissolve. So this is a huge plus that it's still around. It quickly knocks the effective annual fee down to $495. And this travel credit does not require spending within the Chase travel portal. It's good for any travel purchases. So in theory, you could stack it with the welcome offer $500 travel credit. You could book a hotel within the portal with that $500 credit, then use the $300 annual credit to cover some or all of your airfare. You could possibly add another level to the stack with the new $500 Chase Edit Hotel Collection credit. Now this is $250 each half of the year, and the Edit Collection is similar to Amex's Fine Hotels and Resorts collection, although I hear that there are fewer properties at this point. And a minimum 2-night stay is required to get this credit, but then it comes with things like a $100 hotel experience credit and free breakfast for 2. So it's basically like Amex's hotel collection credit, but with FHR level properties. Now what I'm thinking here is that you could stack this and use the Chase travel portal, book a 2-night stay at one of these Edit Collection properties, which would probably run you north of $1,000 for the 2 nights, and you can cover $750 of that with these credits. 500 of that would be covered by the welcome offer credit, 250 would be covered by the edit credit. And you could potentially use points for the remaining balance, say $250 worth of points at a 2 cent per point redemption level, since Chase says that they guarantee 2 cent per point redemptions for edit collection properties. And if you did this, you could maximize these credits. Not sure if this is possible just yet, but if you did that, you could totally maximize these 2 credits. So aside from the promotional $500 travel credit, between these 2 annual credits, the travel credit and the hotel collection credit, we're looking at potentially $800 in value, which would cover the annual fee. Keep in mind, the edit credit is $250 each half of the year, which I have a scenario I'll play out on how you can max this out in one trip. So stick with me, let's keep going. Next is a $300 dining credit via Reserve tables, $150 twice a year. This is via Open Table with a curated collection similar to Resi. Now, I looked in the Nashville area where I live. There's around 20 restaurants or so, but at this point, it does seem to be a little bit more limited than Resi. So still something you could use when you're traveling to a bigger city. Definitely seems like solid value, especially for a total of $300 in these dining credits. Another $300 is the StubHub or Viagogo credit. Again, $150 twice a year. Not a difficult credit to use, but just another thing to think about, and the fees with StubHub are pretty ridiculous, so really hard to place $300 in value here. So as a scenario here, if you use the travel credit for airfare to Nashville, throw on your cowboy hat and boots, catch a Predators game or a concert with that StubHub credit, stay at an Edit Collection hotel, and use half of the dining credit, that could cover $850 worth of travel and entertainment. And if you schedule the trip at the end of June or end of December, you could potentially utilize all of the StubHub and all of the dining credits. Possibly even the edit credit, depending on how crazy you're feeling. And hey, let me know if you come to Nashville. Maybe we both could use our dining credits together over a drink or 2. That is if I decide to go for this card. Now, I do see how there's good value with all of these credits. It just takes a bit of effort, which I'm used to with cards like the AMEX Platinum, the City Executive, and the Ritz-Carlton card. But only the American Express Platinum compares in terms of total credits. And there's still a $300 DoorDash credit at $25 a month, $120 annual Dash Pass membership. Both of those are carryovers from the previous card. An Apple TV and Apple Music subscription valued at around $250, which is a new credit. $120 annually in Lyft credits at $10 per month, which to me, this is a nice touch since you also earn 5x on Lyft rides with this card. But personally, then I would have rideshare credits on my AMEX Platinum, my AMEX Delta Business Platinum, my AMEX Gold, my City Executive, along with the Sapphire Reserve. That's a lot to think about. and I would definitely need to downgrade at least one of those other cards. And last but not least, with the standard credits, $120 from Peloton at $10 per month. Now, trying to manage all of those benefits with their different frequencies with any other premium tier cards, definitely not something I would recommend. And a really big difference when comparing to the Platinum is the $75K annual spend threshold. Now, with the Sapphire Reserve, once you shell out $75K a year, you get a few additional perks. And this includes A-List from Southwest, the first airline status related perk we've seen on these general premium tier cards, and a $500 Southwest credit, which unfortunately has to be used in the Chase Travel portal. So you can't necessarily leverage your A-List status, which is a bummer. And this somewhat conflicts with Chase's goal here. They want you booking travel in their portal. So if they somehow made the status only applicable when booking in the portal, that would seem to make a little bit more sense. Same with the IHG Diamond Elite status you receive. Again, if these things were only of value when utilizing the portal, that would totally seem to make sense here. Now you compare that to the AMEX Platinum, where the only current benefit you receive when you spend over $75K a year is that you can then take 2 guests into Centurion lounges at no cost. Now I imagine AMEX will be revamping all of this. Personally, I feel like all these changes will detract a large number of current Sapphire Reserve card holders, but Chase may gain a large number of AMEX Platinum card holders or disgruntled Venture X card holders. So now let's compare the Sapphire Reserve and the current AMEX Platinum side by side. Now I've taken the credits without factoring in the $75K spend on either card. Now looking at the totals, if you maximized every single bit of every credit, you're definitely going to come out ahead with the Sapphire Reserve. But the Platinum offers status from 2 hotels and 3 rental car companies versus the Sapphire Reserve, where you need to spend $75,000 before you see any status related benefits. Then again, the Sapphire Reserve allows 2 guests into the airport lounges at no additional cost. Whereas the Platinum, you're going to be paying $50 each time a guest comes with you, or you need to spend $75K a year for those 2 guests to be free. Both have authorized user fees at $195 per year, and both have a lot of similarities to their credits with a combo of travel, rideshare, streaming, and wellness credits. But Chase does seem to have a bit more of a theme, since you could use the travel, hotel, dining, and StubHub credits in the same trip. AMEX makes you select one airline for the incidentals credit, only offers $200 on the hotel credit, but at a wider range of properties, since you could book 2 nights with the hotel collection property or 1 night with the Fine Hotels and Resorts property and receive that $200 credit, plus the $100 property credit and free breakfast for 2, along with a few other premium perks not available with the Edit collection. Either way, these cards are now on a level playing field. Chase amped up the Sapphire Reserve, maybe too much. And if you value simplicity, neither of these cards would make sense. Now I may apply for the Sapphire Reserve and hold both the Platinum and the Sapphire Reserve just to confirm how chaotic it may be to have 2 of these premium tier cards at the same time. Now, if you want to see this card compared to my pick of the top travel credit card of 2025, check out this video here. Or if you want to see how Citi may become just as popular as Chase and Amex, check out this video here, and I'll see you there. Cheers.